Revealed, how a new cleaning lady helped a millionaire's 6-year-old twins find their voice again. Sarah stood in front of the sprawling Donovan mansion, her breath catching in her throat. It wasn't just the polished marble that shone under the afternoon sun or the glittering chandelier that seemed to mock her with every step toward the entrance. She felt the weight of expectations pressing down on her. A single mother juggling 3 jobs, Sarah clung to the dream of a better life for her 2 kids. She'd entered this house to clean, but little did she know, it would turn into a rescue mission. On her first day, while tackling the endless dust and grime, Sarah spotted the twins. Max and Emma, 6-year-olds with bright eyes that held flickers of unexpressed joy, sat on the staircase. They were clearly accustomed to silence within these walls, yet they watched her with a spirit that told her they were waiting for something, maybe a spark. "Wanna see something cool?" Sarah asked, surprising even herself with the kindness in her voice. She pulled out 2 colorful crayons she'd brought for her kids. Their faces lit up. "How about we color while I work?" As she cleaned and they doodled on scraps of paper, the laughter of the twins broke the sterility of the mansion. With each giggle and squeal, Sarah felt a warmth unfurl inside her heart, echoing her own childhood when creativity blossomed in the simplest of moments. The longer she spent with the twins, the more she helped them peel back the layers of expectation smothering them. "Paint your dreams, sweethearts," she'd say, bringing their imaginations back to life. With bright illustrations adorned with rainbows and flying dragons, the twins poured out their hearts onto wrinkled sheets. But she also felt the chasm growing between their lives. Her heart ached as she left each day, colorful drawings tucked carefully in their small hands, a stark contrast to their pristine, expensive home. But one fateful afternoon, the joy shattered. Mr. Donovan's brusque message dropped like a lead weight on her chest. "Your services are no longer needed," he said, as if she were the dust on his fine furniture. The word stung. "Lack of refinement," he'd said. The way he looked down on her sent a wave of indignation rushing through her veins, but she couldn't focus on that. She felt like a ship lost at sea, struggling for direction. The twins, her precious friends, would be left voiceless again in the echoing halls of their upscale prison. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined not to let the silence swallow them whole, Sarah rallied her community. Together, they organized an event called Voices of Imagination. Street artists, dancers, and musicians came alive as stories filled the air, a vivid testament to their struggles and triumphs. Max and Emma, emboldened by Sarah's belief in them, stepped up on the stage, trembling but resolute. They shared their artworks, their laughter bubbling over as they confronted their parents, tears in their eyes. To demand to be seen, to be heard. As Sarah stood in the crowd, her heart on fire, she thought of the strides they had made. But beneath the surface, a creeping tension loomed. Would the Donovans understand this urgent plea for change, or would they once again choose silence? The stakes were higher than ever, and the echoes of the past haunted the present. The air was electric at the Voices of Imagination event. Laughter mixed with the sounds of drums and laughter, blending into a symphony that spoke of hope and resilience. Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of pride wash over her as she observed the children embracing their creativity. They danced, they sang, they painted. It was all a beautiful cacophony of expression. Max and Emma stood center stage, clutching their drawings tightly as if they were delicate treasures. The audience watched, captivated by the sincerity radiating from the twins. "We are not just the children of the Donovans," Max shouted, his voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and fear. "We are Max and Emma." Emma chimed in, her face beaming. "And we have voices. We are more than what everyone expects us to be. Sarah could feel her own heart racing, each word drifting into the crowd like a lifeline thrown to those who had felt lost in their own silence. This was the moment that Sarah had envisioned not just for the twins, but for every child who felt invisible in a world obsessed with appearances. But then, amidst the cheers and applause, she spotted a familiar face emerging from the back of the crowd. It was Mr. Donovan, arms crossed and expression stone-like. Her heart sank. Would he silence them again? Would he dismiss their voices as mere childish chatter? She held her breath, the atmosphere shifting as fear mingled with hope. As he stepped closer, the twins continued their performance, completely unaware of the looming figure that could extinguish their burgeoning flames of expression. Sarah stepped down from the sidelines, almost instinctively, ready to defend those she had come to care for so deeply. "Mr. Donovan," she called out, her voice firm yet trembling. "They have something important to say." He raised an eyebrow, as if surprised that she would dare to speak up. "Important? You think this is important?" The skepticism dripped from his words like poison. "It is," she insisted, her heart pounding. "You may see them as just your children, but they are so much more. They're artists, dreamers, and they're fighting for the right to be seen for exactly who they are." The crowd started to murmur, stirring in solidarity with her. Whispers of agreement swept through them, and Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline. This was about more than just Max and Emma now, it was about every person who had ever been marginalized by wealth, status, or the expectations of others. Mr. Donovan looked around, and for a moment, his expression softened, caught between two worlds. But then, his eyes hardened again as he spoke, as if flipping a switch. "Enough of this nonsense. You're encouraging them to act out these theatrics aren't fitting for my family." The weight of his words landed like a stone. But Sarah wouldn't back down. "This isn't nonsense. It's their truth. Your children deserve the opportunity to express themselves, just like anyone else." Max looked down at his drawing as if contemplating the meaning behind it. Emma squeezed her brother's hand, and Sarah's heart borrowed strength from their innocence. Would this mark the end, or could it spark a change in Mr. Donovan? The air grew thick with anticipation, the entire crowd waiting with bated breath. Would Mr. Donovan release the twins from the confines of his expectations, or were they to remain silent once more? In the depths of her mind, Sarah heard a faint whisper of hope, urging her on. "Please, Mr. Donovan, just listen." But the answer would come at a price she couldn't foresee. What would happen next? Would they find their voices in a way that resonated beyond their small lives? As she held her breath for his response, Sarah felt the familiar pang of urgency. The moment of truth was coming, one that would determine not just the fate of the twins, but perhaps her own as well. The tension in the air was palpable as Mr. Donovan stood there, a looming figure against the colorful backdrop of the joyful event. The applause from the crowd gradually faded into a hush, anticipation hanging like a heavy curtain. Sarah felt the weight of 100 eyes drawing towards the twins, waiting for their father's reaction, their hope clinging to the fragile moment. "Listen," he echoed, incredulity rippling through his voice. "To what exactly? To your childish fantasies?" His tone dripped with disdain, yet somewhere in his posture, a flicker of uncertainty sparked. But Sarah pressed on, her voice unwavering despite the chaos within her. "You're right, Mr. Donovan. They are children. But what's wrong with a child expressing themselves? You may see them as your property, but they are so much more than that. Their hearts beat with dreams, and they deserve an audience." A murmur of agreement floated through the crowd. For a moment, Sarah felt the weight of their collective support, as if the community itself was feeding their courage. And then, she noticed something: the twins. Max and Emma, still standing resolutely together, were catching his eye. She saw the determination reflected in their faces. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore, their spirits were filled with a purpose that had grown beyond their years. "Dad," Max piped up, his voice like a fragile wisp of air, yet undeniable amidst the thick silence. It's not just about us. It's about showing other kids they can be themselves too. Emma stepped forward slightly, her little frame a burst of boldness. We don't want to be perfect. We just want to be us. The murmurs in the audience grew louder, the crowd rallying behind the innocence and clarity of the twins' words. Sarah's heart raced. Could Mr. Donovan's icy demeanor melt in the warmth of their sincerity? Mr. Donovan shifted, his arms tightening as if bracing himself against a powerful gale. This isn't what I raised you for, he said, almost pleading. You are more than this spectacle. The moment felt suspended, a thin thread connecting the twins to their father, a bridge teetering between love and expectation. They stood, wide-eyed and vulnerable, desperately holding on to the dreams that flickered in their chests. Sarah felt the urge to jump in again, to keep pushing, to keep fighting for them. Yet, she also saw the glimmer of realization dancing in Mr. Donovan's eyes. Was it comprehension or mere annoyance? She couldn't tell. Then, with a swift movement, Emma stepped even closer to the edge of the stage, a decision boiling within her. Dad, if you can't see who we are now, how will you see who we can become? The question hung in the air, striking a chord not just for Mr. Donovan, but for every parent facing the rift between their aspirations and their children's identities. A heartbeat passed as Mr. Donovan absorbed her words, his expression wavering. Sarah could feel the collective breath of the crowd, a tight knot of hope and fear. Would he take the first step towards understanding? Suddenly, a child's voice piped up from the back of the crowd, "Let them shine." Others joined in, amplifying the call. Cheers broke out as Max and Emma's courage ignited something deeper in the hearts of even the quietest spectators. But then, as Mr. Donovan finally cracked his stoic facade, an unexpected revelation hung in the air. All eyes turned to him, awaiting his move. What choice would he make? Would he cast aside the expectations of the world to hear the true voices of his children? As the crowd swelled with emotion, Sarah felt the pulse of possibility surge around her. And deep down, she wondered, would this moment mark the start of something new or plunge them back into silence once more? Mr. Donovan's brow furrowed as he gazed at his children, a tempest of emotions swirling within him. Each cheer and shout from the crowd pressed heavier against his chest, pushing through layers of pride, disbelief, and an unyielding love that he struggled to express. Would he let them down? Could he reshape his own perceptions? Emma, Max, he began, his voice shaking as he glanced away, an avoidance of the reality laid bare before him. He took a deep breath, but nothing came. Silence enveloped him, and for the first time, it felt suffocating. Max stepped forward, his little heart racing. Those moments on stage had turned into a kind of sacred ground where the hopes of many connected, a realization sweeping over him. We just want to share who we are. Isn't that what you taught us, to be honest and brave? The crowd was silent once more, breaths held tightly as Mr. Donovan felt the weight of their shared expectation. He looked up at his children, whose faces were illuminated with the glow of defiance and purpose. It was contagious, their innocence reminding him of the simple joys overshadowed by his ambitions. He paused, swallowing hard, the words wrapping around his throat like a noose. I didn't realize I thought I was helping you. Emma reached out, her tiny hand shaking slightly, but she steadied it. You are helping us, Dad. Just not the way you think. In that moment, Sarah could see the shift, the flickering candle of understanding igniting in Mr. Donovan's eyes. It wasn't just about perfection or accolades. It was about connection. About being seen and heard. She felt hope swell within her. Could he finally see them, truly see? The crowd began murmuring again, their voices rising and falling like the waves of the ocean, slowly building a rhythm. It was a tide of empathy, an unstoppable force. Let them be. Someone shouted, and another voice echoed, let them shine. Mr. Donovan took a step forward, the rigidity in his stance softening. I've been so focused on what I thought was right for you, that I forgot who you truly are. The sincerity in his words rang loud and clear, a confession wrapped in self-discovery. The crowd leaned in, captivated by this brave revelation. A ripple of gasps erupted, and then applause. It started softly hesitant as if unsure of its own power but soon transformed into a thunderous roar that seemed to shake the very ground they stood upon. "Can you show me? Can you teach me?" he asked softly, looking at Max and Emma with wide, vulnerable eyes, brimming with the promise of change. "Of course," Max said, his voice growing stronger. "But you have to listen to us and to yourself." Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes, a mixture of joy and relief flooding through her. Their moment of truth was here, right in front of everyone. And yet, beneath the jubilant shouts and cheers, a small part of her wondered if it was truly enough. Could a single moment shift the years of expectations? Would their father reclaim the relationship that once flourished under love, not ambition? As the joyful sound of uplifted voices rang through the air, one last echo broke the lively noise. "But what if it's too late?" A small voice whispered from within her heart, a reminder that they were still on a long road ahead. The celebration swirled around them, vibrant and alive, but would this be the breakthrough they all needed, or merely the beginning of another struggle? As families embraced and friends cheered, Sarah shared a determined glance with the twins. The true journey was just beginning. What lay ahead felt uncertain yet hopeful, and the question loomed heavy in the air: could they all find their way back to one another? The applause thundered around them, but for Mr. Donovan, it felt as if the world had slipped away. The cheers and clapping were like distant echoes, muffled by the sudden realization that he was standing not just as a father, but as a learner, ready to be molded by his children. Max and Emma exchanged glances, each silhouette framed against the bright, ecstatic backdrop. Max's heart raced as he stepped closer to their father. "This is just the start," he said, his voice nearly lost in the remaining cheers. But it rang clear in Mr. Donovan's heart. "Start," he echoed, his brow furrowing again, but this time, not in worry. The word hung in the air like a promise yet to unfold. There were so many layers to unravel, so much to learn. Emma took a deep breath, her confidence growing. "You have to trust us, Dad. Trust what we say, what we feel. When you truly listen, that's where the magic happens." Mr. Donovan felt a stir in his soul, an awakening. Maybe he always put too much emphasis on the grand gestures, the glowing trophies, and the perfect grades. Was he missing the beautiful, imperfect moments? He nodded slowly, absorbing the lesson. The crowd's energy morphed into cheers of support for their newfound bond, the air thick with hope. Mr. Donovan straightened, feeling lighter. "I promise, I will learn," he whispered, looking deep into the eyes of his children, who shone with a mixture of belief and excitement. As he stepped back, giving them space to take the stage again, he couldn't help but notice the world around him. The faces in the crowd were stories of their own parents, children, families, friends, all longing for connection. His children were leading them, guiding him toward an emotional revolution, a change that extended beyond their small family unit. Sarah caught his eye from the sidelines. Her expression was painted with an encouraging smile, the warmth radiating through her gaze. She understood. This was a shift, a promise of renewal, and she felt it resonating through every fiber of her being. As Max and Emma took center stage, a wave of euphoria swept over them. They had become symbols of hope, of the idea that it was never too late to embrace authenticity. "Thank you for believing in us," Emma shouted to the crowd, her voice carrying strength and determination. But then, amid the growing excitement, a shadow flickered at the back of Mr. Donovan's mind. What about the outside world? What if this new lesson didn't translate beyond the walls of their home? Could they hold on to this newfound connection, or would it all fall apart in the face of pressures lurking outside? The twins finished their speech, their arms held high in triumph. The crowd roared in approval, but Mr. Donovan couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty, the fear that their journey of rebirth would face trials just as daunting as the walls they'd just begun to break down. "Wait," he whispered to himself. What if there are challenges I can't teach them to overcome on my own? And as he watched them beam, the weight of that question settled heavily within him. This was just the beginning, and he still had much to discover. But would his rediscovered commitment be enough to navigate the storm that was sure to come? As the final applause faded into a hopeful chant of "Let them shine," one undeniable truth settled into his heart. The path ahead was uncertain, but together, they might create a light strong enough to weather any storm. Could trust and love truly pave the way through the challenges that lay ahead? The answer remained hidden, waiting for its moment to shine. The moment the applause faded, Mr. Donovan felt a sudden pull in his stomach, a sense of urgency mixed with excitement. His heart still raced, but it wasn't just because of the crowd's roaring approval. It was a gnawing feeling that there was more beneath the surface, a need to forge a path not only for himself but for Max and Emma. As the energy in the auditorium began to settle, he noticed the crowd dispersing, still buzzing from the twins' powerful message. Sarah approached him, her eyes wide with pride and anticipation. "Did you see the way they lit up the moment they spoke?" she said, her voice filled with warmth. "They've got something special." "Yeah," he replied, still grappling with the weight of his revelations. "But will they still feel that way once we step outside? Once we're back to reality?" Sarah reached for his hand, her fingers wrapping around his like a lifeline. "That's the challenge, isn't it? But you'll be there for them. You've just shown them, and yourself, that you're willing to learn. That's half the battle." A flicker of hope ignited in Mr. Donovan's chest. Perhaps she was right. As he turned to watch his children, now lost in laughter and celebration, a thought tugged at his mind. What if they needed more guidance than he could provide? "Let's take them out for ice cream," he suggested suddenly, wanting to capitalize on this moment of unity and joy. The surprise lit up Sarah's expression, and Mr. Donovan felt his heart lift with a simple act, one that spoke to the candid, joyful connection they had just begun to experience. They ambled through the parking lot toward the nearest ice cream shop, the golden light of the setting sun casting a warm glow all around them. Laughter danced through the air as Max and Emma playfully vied for who could predict the flavor they would choose. Mr. Donovan laughed along, each chuckle lifting the weight from his shoulders. Once inside, the sweet aroma of sugar and waffle cones enveloped them. The shop buzzed with families enjoying similar moments, the atmosphere rife with happy chatter. Yet, as Mr. Donovan prepared to order, something changed. Genuine doubts crept back in. Would flavors of life's challenges turn bitter once outside this bubble of warmth and bonding? "Dad," Emma said, her small voice slicing through his thoughts. "Can we do this more? Like, together?" He turned to her, holding her gaze steady. "Absolutely. Whenever you want. We can make it a tradition." Her face broke into a smile that reached her eyes, and Mr. Donovan felt a swell of emotion rise up from deep within. That's when Max piped in, "And can we invite friends? They should see what we're doing." The earnestness in his voice caught Mr. Donovan off guard. His children weren't just looking for connection with him, they wanted to widen the circle, spreading their newfound joy to others. The idea sparked something within Mr. Donovan. Of course. The more, the merrier. He told the twins, and his heart raced at the thought of how far they could go. What would happen if they did open their hearts and home wider? Had they the courage to withstand the outside world, where not everyone would encourage their voices? As they stood waiting for their ice creams, Mr. Donovan sensed a shift in the atmosphere. It wasn't only their small family that hung in the balance, the wider world outside held its breath too. New adventures awaited them, waiting just beyond the glass doors. But with every scoop of ice cream and every smile, would they be prepared for the inevitable pushback? Could their bonds remain unbreakable when faced with realities that often clash with dreams? With each passing moment, the sun dipped lower in the sky, signaling the night's approach, and Mr. Donovan understood this was just a taste of what lay ahead. As the sweet confections were served, he felt his heart beat in rhythm with both fear and exhilaration. Could they truly let their voices be heard in a world that often silenced the very things they had just begun to embrace? And as the door swung open to the outside, welcoming the night air, one question lingered: were they ready to face the challenges the world would throw their way? The ice cream shop was alive with laughter and chatter, but Mr. Donovan's thoughts were miles away. His hands trembled slightly as he took the cups from the server, who flashed him a friendly smile. The sweet aroma, once comforting, now felt overwhelming. He watched the twins as they bounced between tables, their excitement lighting up their faces. It filled him with warmth, even as doubt clung to him like mist. Outside, the evening air was cool and inviting, kissed by autumn leaves that swirled in the gentle breeze. Sarah walked beside him, their twin scoops balancing precariously in hand. "Look at them, Mike," she said softly, her gaze trailing the twins. "They're blooming." Mr. Donovan nodded but felt a weight settle in his stomach. It's a beautiful moment, but I can't shake the feeling that we could be setting them up for something painful," he admitted. "Every journey has its bumps, Mike," Sarah said, her eyes earnest. "We can't protect them from everything. But we can guide them." That was the truth he wrestled with. They'd been through so much, yet the freedom to express themselves felt fragile. What if their voices were drowned out again by the world's noise? "Dad! Watch this!" Max shouted, propelling himself off the small bench as he attempted to impress Emma. The boy stumbled and fell, ice cream splattering across the pavement, mixing sweet vanilla with the fizzling energy in the air. Dropping his own cone, Mr. Donovan rushed to help, concern washing over him. "You okay, buddy?" His heart raced as he knelt beside Max, hands sifting through the sticky mess. The young boy's expression was a whirlwind of surprise and playful frustration. "I'm fine." "It was totally on purpose," he declared, laughter bubbling up despite his mild indignation. Emma joined in, clutching her own ice cream. "That was the coolest fall ever." She giggled. In that fleeting moment, something in Mr. Donovan shifted. The world would throw challenges their way, but challenges could be overcome, he realized. There would be stumbles, but laughter could always mend the falls. As they cleaned up the mess, he noticed a few onlookers chuckling, their faces softening at the twins' antics. It struck him anew: sometimes, community was found even in the simplest of moments, that shared laughter acted as an invisible thread connecting hearts, an unbreakable bond. "See?" Sarah said, joining him by Max's side with a napkin in hand. "The world isn't just about the hard stuff. It's about sharing joy, too." "It's about being yourself," Emma added, her eyes shining. Mr. Donovan chuckled at the sweet irony. Here were his children, embracing joy with an open heart, reminding him that life could be painted with both laughter and tears. As they finished cleaning up, Max looked at his dad. "Can we make ice cream parties a thing? For everyone? Our friends would love this." The idea blossomed in Mr. Donovan's mind. "Why not?" he said, heart racing at the possibilities. "We can host one this weekend." Emma jumped up, squealing with delight. "Yes. And I'll invite everyone from school." Just then, a gust of wind whipped through the parking lot, sending leaves spiraling around them. Mr. Donovan felt electricity in the air, a hint of the challenges to come. But in this moment, surrounded by his children's joyful shouts, the swarm of fears dissipated. Still, the looming question tugged at him: could they truly create a space where everyone felt safe to share their voices, or would the world's cynicism seep into their bubble? As they headed home, a strong wind rattled the trees, perhaps a sign of the change that lay ahead. Everything felt thrilling, yet perilous. Mr. Donovan took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of the journey they were about to embark on. And, just as they reached the car, he heard Emma whisper to Max, "What if some people don't want to be part of our party?" There it was, the first crack in their joyous facade. That question hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the realities that could shatter dreams. What would happen when their dreams collided with the world outside? As he opened the car door, Mr. Donovan cast one last glance at the ice cream shop. He knew, somehow, that their journey had only just begun, and the sweetest moments often came with the toughest lessons. The next few days flew by in a whirl of preparations. Mr. Donovan found himself buried in planning the ice cream party. Sarah was busy organizing activities, while Max and Emma brainstormed silly games that would make everyone howl with laughter. It felt like a fresh start, the air thick with hope and anticipation. Yet, with each passing day, Mr. Donovan couldn't ignore the clench in his chest. He'd spent hours cleaning up the backyard, stringing rainbow lights, and setting up tables, but deep down, worry gnawed at him. What if no one showed up? What if their friends turned out to be just as hesitant about joining this party as Emma feared? On Saturday morning, the sun shone bright, casting a golden hue over everything, as they welcomed their guests. Children began to arrive, bouncing through the yard full of laughter, their excited chatter filling the air. It was chaotic and beautiful, just the atmosphere Mr. Donovan had hoped for. He watched from the sidelines as Max and Emma dashed around, introducing their friends to the various games. The sight of them beaming with pride, surrounded by the joy of others, soothed his anxious heart. But as the day wore on, a shadow fell over his spirits again. He noticed that some children lingered on the outskirts, unsure of how to dive into the fun. Midway through the party, while serving scoops of ice cream at the makeshift station, Mr. Donovan overheard whispers from two kids standing to the side. "I don't think I want to play," one mumbled, tugging nervously at his shirt. "Me neither," the other replied, his eyes scanning the vibrant chaos, looking less than excited. Mr. Donovan's instincts kicked in. He put down the scoop, steeling himself as he walked over to the duo. "Hey there. Turns out we have some really great ice cream here, and you two look like you could use a scoop. What do you say?" The boys looked up, their expressions wary but curious. "Is it true you made it yourself?" one finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Absolutely. And it's pretty amazing, I'd say. Why don't you guys come see how much fun we're having? We've got games, crafts, and you're totally missing out." Max and Emma's voices echoed nearby, laughter bursting forth as they directed a group in a spirited game of tag. The boys hesitated for a moment, but then a spark of interest crossed their faces. "Okay," the first boy said, nudging his friend, who nodded in agreement. Mr. Donovan watched as they stepped tentatively towards the games. They were met with welcoming smiles and cheers from the twins. A wave of warmth washed over him, and he realized that sometimes, just a small push was all it took to break through the doubt and fear. As the day drew into evening, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the children. The air filled with joyous laughter, the swirls of ice cream melting on their hands, and the weight of worry began to lift from Mr. Donovan's heart. But amidst all this revelry, a quiet moment struck him. He caught Emma sitting alone on a swing, her knees pulled up to her chest. He approached her, the fading sunlight casting a warm glow around them. "Hey, kiddo. What's on your mind?" She looked up, her big eyes glistening. I was thinking about everyone having so much fun. What if one day they don't want to come back?" He knelt beside her, taking a breath that felt heavy with unspoken realities. Sometimes people do drift away, but that doesn't mean the moments we share aren't real. We have to keep inviting them, keep loving them, even when it gets hard. She nodded slowly, but uncertainty lingered in her expression. He could see the question lingering in her heart: would they always have a place to feel accepted? The sun dipped lower on the horizon, and Mr. Donovan cast a glance back at the party, where laughter filled the night. Could they really create a safe haven, where everyone felt like they belonged? Or would fear always linger, quietly waiting for its chance to creep back in? Just then, a sudden commotion erupted. Max had tripped again, sending ice cream flying. The laughter was immediate and infectious, and the small moment nudged Mr. Donovan. What if these small steps were enough to keep building their dreams, one laugh at a time? But soon after, a figure appeared at the edge of the yard. A new family, standing back, watching. Mr. Donovan felt his heart race again. Here came another challenge. Would this one bring a shake-up, or would it be the moment they needed most? As he approached the newcomers, he could almost hear the clock ticking. What were they about to discover together? Mr. Donovan straightened up, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension coursing through him. The new family stood there, a hesitant trio, two kids who looked to be in Max and Emma's age range, along with their mother, who seemed just as unsure about stepping into their bustling celebration. "Hi there," he greeted warmly, wiping his hands on a towel. "We'd love for you to join us. I'm Mr. Donovan. This is a big ice cream party, and it looks like you could use a scoop yourself." The mother smiled faintly, but the kids remained quiet, their gazes darting around the lively gathering. Mr. Donovan sensed their unease, a reflection of the very feelings he had witnessed earlier in the day. "I can promise it's a blast," he continued, trying to draw them closer. "We have games, crafts, and more flavors of ice cream than you can imagine. Wouldn't it be fun to join in?" The boy shifted his weight from one foot to the other, then whispered something to his sister. She looked up at their mother, uncertainty dancing in her eyes. Mr. Donovan felt a pang of sympathy. It reminded him of how he once felt, standing at the edge of his own childhood parties, wishing someone would invite him in. "Come on. What's your favorite flavor?" he asked, kneeling slightly to get on their level, wanting to pierce through the shyness that held them back. "I like chocolate," the girl finally spoke up, her voice barely above the music surrounding them. "Perfect choice. We've got the rich, creamy stuff right here," Mr. Donovan said, motioning toward the ice cream cart. With a slight nudge from their mother, the two kids slowly approached. "Can we have chocolate and vanilla?" the boy finally asked, his voice growing steadier. "Of course. I'll whip that up for you." Mr. Donovan scooped both flavors, filling up their bowls and handing them over. "There you go. Now, how about you hit that game of tag over there? Max and Emma will show you the ropes." As the kids looked toward the joyful chaos, their eyes glistened with a flicker of excitement. With one shared, persuasive glance from their mother, they dashed off, finally joining the fray. Mr. Donovan felt a wave of relief wash over him. It was beautiful to witness the transformation. Suddenly, one of the twins rushed up, tugging on his shirt. "Dad! Look, they're playing!" Max exclaimed, pointing to the newcomers, now laughing and running alongside their new friends. "They're having fun, just like we wanted." Mr. Donovan smiled, feeling a warmth swell in his chest. "You know, Max, sometimes it just takes that first little push to let people join in," he replied, pride flooding through him. As the games continued and laughter echoed, he felt the day's earlier worries melting away. It was a tapestry of connections being woven under the glow of fairy lights, each new friendship stitching together their community. But just then, a voice rang out from the sidelines. Sarah, who had been overseeing the crafts table, looked up, her brow furrowed. Mr. Donovan?" He turned, seeing her alarmed expression. "What's up? Riley's been really quiet since he arrived. No one seems to be including him." Mr. Donovan's heart sank at the mention of the boy who had initially lingered at the edges, but had not taken the plunge into fun. He couldn't help but feel a familiar tightening in his chest, a need to help everyone feel safe and cherished. Taking a deep breath, he darted over. "Hey, Riley!" he called out, approaching the timid boy sitting alone on a bench, his ice cream untouched. "Want to join me for a quick game?" Riley looked up, his eyes wide with surprise. "What game?" "The best one out here. I promise you'll love it. Max and Emma have invited everyone to play this new tag variant," he said, lowering himself to be eye level with him. Riley hesitated, glancing back at the energetic group now still engaged in their laughter. Mr. Donovan could practically see the wheels turning in his mind. What chance did he have to join in on such a fun world? Just step into the fun. Mr. Donovan encouraged gently, "I know you'll find it's worth every second." At that precise moment, the laughter of the other children crescendoed into a jubilant cheer. Mr. Donovan held his breath, willing Riley to take the leap, to put down the ice cream and embrace the joy around him. Would this quiet boy finally find his voice among a crowd of exuberance? Would Mr. Donovan's efforts this day unfold into something even more extraordinary than he imagined? As all eyes waited in suspense, he held on to the hope that sometimes, love had the power to break down any barrier. Riley shifted slightly, his fingers twisting on the cool ice cream cup. Mr. Donovan could see the hesitance written all over his face, yet there was something in those big, round eyes, the flicker of hope wanting to burst forth. "Come on, buddy," Mr. Donovan encouraged, deciding to take another approach. "This is what you've been missing out on. I bet you'll make some great friends." Riley glanced back at the whirlwind of laughter and play. The vibrant energy was infectious, but fear rooted him to the spot. Mr. Donovan stepped a bit closer. "Look, I get it. It's a big leap. But I'm right here. Just a foot away. You can do this." In that heartbeat, Riley's gaze flickered back to Mr. Donovan's, seeking assurance, searching for someone who believed in him just enough. It was a small nod, barely a whisper of a movement, but it was enough. "Okay," he finally breathed, surprising himself with the decision. The moment was magical as he stood up, his brave little heart racing to keep pace with his courage. Mr. Donovan couldn't help the smile that spread across his face. "That's it." He cheered, clapping him on the shoulder. As they approached the group together, laughter erupted, wrapping them both in warmth. Max and Emma were right in the middle of an animated game, and when they spotted Riley, their faces lit up with contagious joy. "Riley! Come on!" Emma waved him over, her voice tinged with encouragement. "We were just about to start a new round." The other kids parted slightly, creating an opening, granting Riley the chance to step into a world that had once felt overwhelming. Mr. Donovan held his breath as the boy walked unsteadily but determinedly to join them. As he stepped into the fun, uncertainty began to melt into something wonderful. "Well, look who's here!" Max hollered, excitement lacing his voice. "You're just in time. We need one more player." The crowd erupted into applause, laughter engulfing Riley as shyness faded away like mist in the sun. His smile blossomed, mouth full of ice cream and eyes sparkling with newfound joy. Mr. Donovan watched, his heart swelling with pride, relief coursing through him like a long-awaited embrace. In that moment, he understood that this party was about so much more than just ice cream and games. It was about connection, about reminders of how to break through walls and share joy with one another. As the game started, the atmosphere rippled with laughter, a symphony of happiness. Mr. Donovan stood back, observing the vivid scene unfold. Kids were chasing each other across the yard under the soft glow of golden fairy lights, exuberance spilling all around. "See how easy that was?" Sarah said, joining him, her expression warm and encouraging. "It just takes a nudge sometimes." "Yeah," Mr. Donovan replied, still mesmerized by the spectacle. "I just didn't want anyone to feel left out. I wanted them all to feel like they belonged." "And they do now," Sarah said, her smile infectious. "You're doing great, Mike." Just then, Emma dashed past them with Riley, laughter erupting from her as she tagged him playfully before darting away. He chased after her, determination shining bright in his once timid eyes. Suddenly, without warning, the clouds drifted in, dimming the sunset and giving a tinge of uncertainty. Mr. Donovan's stomach dropped with a familiar wave of dread. What if this magic dissolved as quickly as it had come? What if the real world crept in and took the joy away? But then, he heard Riley's infectious laughter echoing through the yard, ringing bright with pure, unfiltered happiness. The moment became a tangible reminder that sometimes, the only thing standing between fear and joy is a leap of faith. And suddenly, in the midst of swirling ice cream and happy faces, Mr. Donovan realized that they would figure out how to navigate the challenges together, one joy-filled step at a time. With a newfound appreciation for the beautiful chaos around him, he stepped closer, his heart wide open. "Hey kids! He called out, the excitement filling his voice. "How about we add a dance-off to the party?" Cheers erupted in response, and laughter bubbled over like the spray of fizzy soda. Mr. Donovan felt that same surge of pride, a deeper understanding settling within him. In this space filled with love and laughter, they were building something real, something truly lasting, a community that would always encourage their voices, no matter the challenge. The whispers of doubt faded into nothingness as he stepped back into the fray, ready to embrace the joy and the challenges that awaited them. They were truly embarking on this journey together, and he could face anything with his children by his side. As the dance-off began, Max and Emma took center stage, their laughter intertwining with Riley's newfound confidence. He joined in, adventurous and wild, as they all danced under the evening sky, determined to make this the first of many, many moments together, celebrating every unique voice in their vibrant community. And in that magical atmosphere, with every twist and turn, they began to forge timeless memories filled with hope, joy, and the promise that no one would ever be alone again, each person welcomed, just as they were. The road ahead might be unpredictable, but Mr. Donovan was ready. Together, they would shine, unafraid to let their voices echo through the world. As their laughter swirled up into the twinkling night sky, he felt a realization wash over him. A renewed goal emerged, that their voices would be heard, that their laughter would ring out loud, embracing whoever needed to hear it. Together, they created a world filled with acceptance, wonder, and dancing under the stars. Now, more than ever, he understood, this was just the beginning. And so, for everyone who has ever felt invisible, let this be a call: embrace your truth, connect with your community. Because together, we can all find a way to shine. If you felt inspired today, this is the moment to act. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button to feed the algorithm and let everyone know just how powerful our voices can be. I want to hear your reactions and feelings about this ending, so comment down below. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. The journey doesn't stop here, it's just getting started.